Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
What's going on, Lock Shoppers? Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to the program. A little bit of a change-up today. Had to do a quick pivot, and we are on location today. This is a spot that is going to be very busy before tonight's Bomber game, Confusion Corner Bar and Grill here in the Peg, and seen some big line movement in this football game this afternoon as well. Great to have you all with us. Shout out to everybody in chat. I am here at Andrew Paterson. Dusty's actually in Winnipeg right now, just a little ways away at the Delta Hotel, getting ready to call this game tonight. And I was going to get him to run down here and make a quick visit, but he's doing some media availability with the Redbacks and Elks before his other play-by-play gig this week, of course, on Sunday night on TSN. But it should be a good one, and we're going to get to this line movement in this Bombers-Calgary game tonight coming up very shortly. But to get things underway, let's welcome in my guy, Jake Bolin Moss, who is ready to go. Jake, what's up? How are you?
Huss, how about my Argos, baby? What a win last night. I saw Fajardo and you were tweeting about it, and then it was all Argos from that point on, it seemed. And I wasn't watching the game, to be honest with you, but I was following along on the Score app, and it was just like they were just racking it up. So Alouettes take their first loss of the season. Argos get a much-needed win, and good start to the week, I'd say. Good fun start, at least.
Well, I'll tell you what, it wasn't a good start for me. I had Montreal, and it was interesting. That game was at 7 a couple of days ago. It was at 6.5 yesterday when we did the show. It was at 6 by game time, which I found interesting, just considering how Cameron Dukes got roughed up against the Riders last week. But he had a real solid bounce back game, and once again, the Toronto defense, they really helped out their football team. But listen, Cody Fajardo, when Fajardo went down, it seemed like everything changed. And, Caleb Evans came in, tossed a pick 6 shortly thereafter that. And, the Argos did not let them off the hook. As the game went on, the Argo defense did a much better job on Caleb Evans after he ended up, kind of coming right back and getting it into the end zone. But you're right, a huge win for Toronto because, they had that nice start. They had the home win against BC. And you could understand. I'm sure Montreal is a really good team. They came into Toronto and beat them by 10. And then it was the game in Saskatchewan. And I think a lot of people were wondering, okay, what is this Argos team now with the players they lost on defense, with Chad Kelly being out for the first half of the season minimum? And the way that it all turned out is that I think there was a big step up and answer by that Toronto offense yesterday, and particularly, and the defense. So, Montreal, nothing to worry about. I believe they've got the bye week next week. They'll give Cody a little bit of extra time to heal. He has been phenomenal so far this season. But for the Argos to get that win, to, obviously had Montreal a loss. The East could have been pretty much set, to be honest. I realize it's crazy to say 6 games into the season. But, if Montreal went to 6-0 and the Argos fell to 2-3, it certainly isn't Hamilton. It's not Ottawa right now, as with all due respect to what they've done so far. So it certainly makes the East a little more interesting right now. But a really nice win for Toronto to get things going. Listen, I do want to get to the soccer, some baseball a little later on, but we may as well start off with the Canadian Football League. And, I just pulled up Coolbet before we were firing it up. And I was talking last night with some friends, and we were putting together a couple parlays. And, that Bomber numbers, which had gone from 3.5 to 4 to 5, was making me a little bit more nervous. The Bombers have, needless to say, their record against the spread has not been great this year, last week notwithstanding. Jake, I'm pulling up. It is 6.5 right now, and it seems like cool bettors are saying, okay, the Bombers have righted the ship, and what we saw last week was more of what's to come, and this is the team we expected to see right out of the gate. But holy smokes, that's a big morning line move to 6.5 for the Bombers against a Calgary team that beat them just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, clearly something's starting to change here with the way people are betting the Bombers, and we're seeing that, like you said, within the line movement. So to be at the 6.5 now, you probably are a little hesitant to get on a number so big, especially with how the start's been for the Bombers. But more than anything, it's just about winning this football game. I think that's how a lot of Winnipeg fans are going to feel at this point. Try to get out of this 0-4 hole that they've started off in. So, if you're betting the game, it might be more. It might be smarter to think the other side with the, getting as many points as you're getting with Calgary. But, if you're on the Bombers, you like the Bombers, maybe you're mixing it in on the money line with something else you like later in the week. I know you're big on the Elks. Maybe it's for the community exclusive, which we do have
I
online.
was just going to bring that up.
Yep.
You know what? It's funny. That was actually how I decided to play these games. I'll probably have a separate bet just on Sunday night on the Elks to cover the 3.5, barring a crazy line movement like we've just seen with Winnipeg. But with the Bombers, big money line favorites, I firmly believe the Elks get this done. I mean, it'll be on me if they go to 0-5 with this home game coming off the bye. I mean, there's no excuses anymore. And the thing is, this isn't a team that's been embarrassed. They've been in games. They've just been finding ways to lose. You've got a team in Ottawa that is mid, and that's an improvement from where they've been the last few years. So it's ready to go. But I think that's what, plus 135 for Bomber money line, Elks money line. I love that. I've made that kind of one of my larger wagers of the day or at least for the weekend coming into that. And
I think the juice is getting better because of the way this Bombers line's going.
Absolutely.
I think yesterday it was around plus 120 for those two, and then we gave the boost of plus 135. Now it's plus 105, so you're getting an even better boost there. If you're betting with the Lock Shop community, that's where to go, is the exclusive section. And as we're on the exclusive section, Huss, we talked about it over text earlier. The Iwanic Big Brain Special and the Ride with Huss are both online now. I had one of our guys get it up there for us, so maybe we'll touch on that here in a little bit. We can tease that right now for the folks as we continue on the CFL.
Yes, exactly. I'm not going with the big brain as much as, I did it last week, and we kind of somehow maneuvered through 4 series of landmines to catch that plus 645 in the quarters. But we've got the finals in both the Copa and the Euro this weekend. And we've put together 2 gamers, one from Matt Iwanic's big brain and one from my not so big brain. But as I said, we've been all over the soccer. Have to get some picks in for this, and we will make that happen. Just while we're on the Canadian Football League, I should put together, and I see Rod Z's in the chat. And I'm kind of going back and forth from the site to the chat, so forgive me if it takes me a minute to get to anything from the chat. But we're going to look at some of these player props for this game tonight. I've been waiting for those to put together potentially some sort of a WST parlay. Rod Z is loving the Brady Oliveira rushing prop of 65.5. He ran amok last week. And a big part of it was having Chris Strevler in. But Jake, I've been talking all week long, not necessarily from a betting perspective, but from a Bomber perspective as to just how impressive that performance was on the line of scrimmage for the Bomber offensive line. And the Bomber line has been a little bit maligned this year, and that has been a sense of strength, almost the foundation of their offense for a number of years. That was a big reason why Zach Caleros had the numbers that he had early on, and Brady Oliveira really hadn't gotten going to this point so far this season. So for the Bombers to step up, for Ottawa knowing exactly what was coming, and the Bombers to run 11 times in a row and put it in. And then Brady, he was one of the top receivers as well. A very, very productive game. Make no mistake about it. They are going to try to get it to Oliveira early and often, establish the running game. Because, Jake, when you can really establish the run, that's going to allow a quarterback that has had far more people in his backfield than normal, maybe a little bit more extra time to connect with some of these new receivers that really he hasn't played with very much, filling in for the likes of Dalton Schoen and Kenny Lawler.
Well, yes, and the run game is such an X factor, especially in the CFL. Like, if you have a great run game, then it opens up that passing game even more. And just with the way things have been for the Bombers, it's been a rough start. Like you said, I kind of go off what you say. I listen to WST. I listen to you guys talk about the Bombers, so that's kind of where my knowledge lies. And that run game, it's really the X factor for this team, and it'll be interesting to see Caleros coming back in this week, what he's going to look like, as opposed to a different look that you guys had last week with Shrevler in the backfield there with Oliveira.
I wouldn't be surprised if actually both teams run the football quite a bit. I mean, I like the Brady Oliveira over 65.5 yards. Dedrick Mills at 48.5. I mean, everything that we're saying for the Bombers, I think we could also say for Calgary. I mean, Jake Merritt had a nice first couple games. It's sort of been the regression to the mean and more like the Mare that sort of struggled last year in the last 2 games. You know, to be able to get Dedrick Mills going and hit that over 48.5, I think would be big for Calgary. Those are the rushing yards. This is what's interesting now with the Bombers is the player receiving yards. And, you know, we had the prop last week of Dembski and Wolodarski both to get 3 or more receptions. Dembski got the 3. Wolodarski only got 1. That was the only thing that we missed on that WST parlay. But again, with so many, with so many new and unknown receivers, we've only got a few options on this one. And really it comes down to the 2 guys that we know well, and that's Nick Dembski and Drew Wolodarski. Here's the yardage numbers. Wolodarski's 44.5. And Nick Dembski's 58.5. Dembski, as far as for the number of receptions on the Bomber side of things, Dembski's 4.5. The over is minus 105. The under is minus 118.
I think your mic is muted there. Hey, Jake, I think your mic is muted. We're just having a bit of technical difficulties here, so the boys will reload in a second. Huss, as you know, isn't right at home. Jake, I can't hear you. I see you talking through the screen, but I cannot just hear you. So you're not coming in over on our end, so you might be muted. They're just reloading a little bit. Awanik's coming in, big brain Awanik. And here he is now.
Do we have some technical issue? Like, what's going on there?
Well, both of them seem to have froze at the same time. I had the backup cameras just in case because Huss isn't at home. There's a bunch of work getting done. He's getting some fiber optics done, I think. So no Wi-Fi, bunch of drilling
he's
and
getting
stuff.
fiber optics. That's the best internet.
Yeah, like he's happy for that, but he had to, like, in 30 minutes, he had to go down to a local bar and sort that out. Yeah, Jake's loading back in here.
So you let them load back in. I don't know what they've been getting to because we've been talking about various things. Have they got to the Awanik's Big Brain Special?
Yeah, they were just talking about that actually a few minutes ago. Jake
Plus
is
485.
He is back in the bullpen. His audio works, so he cut out at the same time as Huss froze. So it was like perfect timing.
Well, Huss is back because I don't have any headphones, so I can't hear what Jake's saying.
Oh, okay.
So we'll have to wait till Huss logs back in there a little bit, or I'll have to quickly run to go get some headphones. But plus 485, it's a nice little number. I will say that. What are you doing there? You're going to get me my headphones then? Okay, I guess we could do it that way. I don't want England to win. I'm not going to lie. That's just going to be, it's going to be awful to hear that. The English fans, no offense to all you English fans out there, but you guys could be very annoying sometimes. So I want my headphones. They're on my desk. Well, if you're going to give me my headphones, Zach, then get me my proper headphones. I don't want to use other headphones here. They're right on my desk. I might as well bring my mic sock while you're at it, too. Sorry about that. I think it looks like we might have Huss back soon. Oh, it looks like he's there, though. But I really do like the Colombian pick. I'm not going to lie. I think Argentina is a good country, but Colombia they're really in form at this very moment. So I think they have a chance to take down Argentina. And I want Spain to win. I really want Spain to win this Euros because I don't want to have to hear from the English fans. But I think we're going to have to suffer. I think we're going to have to suffer. They're the team of destiny. They were a minute away from being knocked out of this tournament, and Jude Bellingham had to score that goal. But it looks like Huss and Jake, they are back, so I'll throw things back over to them. And I'll be sitting here if something comes up.
Appreciate that. I just said, Zach, I'm not sure what had happened. I got kicked out, and then it just kept on saying unable to connect to the session. I'm not as familiar with the Wirecast rendezvous, but again, what can't Matt do? Popping in, helping us out. And, because he has been so kind to be our backbone here, take it up to the top of the hour, give us great soccer picks, there will be no free throw slander at all on the Lock Shop today. I'm sure they had some fun with that on the morning show. Seriously, though, thanks to Iwanek. And as he mentioned right off the bat, we can kind of transition over there once we finish Canadian Football League. Actually thinks that it is coming home and does not even want to see that happen, but that is the pick right now. We've got that up in the exclusives. But anyways, Jake, I believe I was going through before I was rudely interrupted by technology these Bomber props for tonight's game, and again, this is a quick note for Winnipeg viewers of the Lock Shop and WST. If you are making any bets at Coolbet on the Canadian Football League this week, first of all, don't forget everyone can use that 20% win boost on any game that they want or a parlay once every week. But if you do make any CFL bets, take a screenshot of them, send them into contest@winnipegsportstalk.com for your chance to win a trip with me and a big crew to the Labor Day Classic coming up for the Labor Day weekend, always the most fun weekend of the year. Just back to those receiving props. As I mentioned, the Dembski yardage is more, and that makes sense, Jake. Dembski can be a big play guy. He's such a versatile player normally in the Bomber offense, but you would have to think that, without Shona, without Kenny Lawler, the most reliable guy is Nick Dembski, and Buck Pierce, I think, is going to find a way to get him the football. I don't mind. The funny thing is sometimes they'll actually give it to him in a handoff formation that doesn't count for receptions, but I do like the over 4.5 for Dembski, and we're getting plus 105 on that. I think he'll be used often, but I'm sort of with Rod Z on this. I think if I'm looking at one prop tonight, I think it's the Brady Oliveira rushing number. I still can't get over this number is now at 6.5, and the Bombers are minus 286. I will say that if you have no skin in the game, I would be thinking long and hard about taking that 6.5 points. The one thing about the Bombers right now is presently constructed, Jake. I don't expect them to be blowing anybody out. I mean, the defense has been playing great and keeping them in games. But with an offense that has a returning quarterback that has not hit its stride at all, that's missing two of their most important offensive weapons, that's a big ask for a team to win by a full touchdown, even at home in front of 30,000 plus, in what should be an amazing atmosphere tonight at Princess Auto Stadium.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. And the one thing I did want to get to and help shamelessly plug your show as well. I'm looking at the Winnipeg Sports Talk CFL rankings. We could see a big shift in power rankings this week from how we've started off. We got the Argos with a big win. Alouettes pick up their first loss. If BC takes care of business tomorrow against Sask, I wouldn't be surprised if we see them at number 1 next week. The Bombers could be moving up with a win over Calgary, shifting them down a spot. Where do the Argos fall? How do you feel about the Rough Riders? Are they still the third best team, or you argue that the Argos are the third best team? So, really intriguing week to say the least. We could even see the Elks jump over the Red Blacks if they pick up a win there. So for a little as little team as there are in the league with 9 teams, we could see some major shifting on those power rankings by the end of the week.
It's a great point. I mean, really, the next 8 days for the Bombers in the West is going to be crucial. I mean, we're going to see Saskatchewan play BC. BC's a 7.5 point favorite. They have been rolling. And I mean, Saskatchewan's without Trevor Harris. I think even if they go and lose by double digits, which I think is very possible, I think that's not really going to take a lot of shine off Saskatchewan. What's interesting, though, if the Bombers can get a win and get to 2-4 and Saskatchewan does lose, these two teams have a third meeting this year, and it's next week. So all of a sudden, that game with the Bombers moving on to Regina becomes huge in the fact that, there's the potential of Saskatchewan losing a couple, the Bombers getting some wins back, and kind of it bunching up, because the start of the season was all BC, all Saskatchewan. Edmonton and Winnipeg couldn't win, and Calgary's just sort of been that team in the middle that's had a couple close wins, and but I don't think is much better than either of those other teams. So as I mentioned, tomorrow night, BC and Saskatchewan. BC minus 370 on the money line. The Riders plus 280. Really impressed with the Riders defense, though. That's the one thing that might give you pause on that spread if you're thinking about betting BC. And then Edmonton is still minus 3.5 and minus 192 on the money line. You know what? Before we transition, let's just check out those CFL exclusives that we've got up. Because we do have the For the Community, which I love. And that's just straight up Bombers and Elks to win as Jets, as Jake was mentioning. I got it at plus 135 with this big line movement. It's plus 125 right now. Still a really nice boost on just two straight up money line. We don't have to worry about the spreads. Let's get both of these teams in the win column and move on to next week. There is also, and then I guess the other ones we've got are for the soccer, which we'll touch to in a minute. Now,
there's a few
the
CFL
EST
ones.
parlay.
Yeah,
I was just going to say the
well.
EST is Elks, and the Stingers. And then in the regular specials, what do we've got here? Jake, why don't you run through these, the Coolbet CFL specials that you guys have cooked?
Yeah, so we got 4 right now. I'm sure we'll have a Winnipeg Sports Talk one. Maybe following the show, Hustle send me over a few picks. We got the Strevolution, Strevler, anytime touchdown.
Love it.
The Bombers minus 4.5. That's going at plus 140 right now. Hometown hero, Brady Oliveira, 70-plus rushing yards, 2+ touchdowns, and Bombers to win at plus 380. Bombs away, Caleros, 251-plus passing yards, 2+ passing TDs, and Bombers minus 4.5. And then one for the Stampeders, stamps of approval, Dedrick Mills, anytime TD, Reggie Beggleton, 5+ receptions, and the stamps to win. So obviously you're not rooting for that one, Huss, but that's for the people who are rooting for the Stampeders this week.
Excellent. So those are all the Coolbet CFL daily exclusives. And again, don't forget, if you haven't made any picks yet this week, whatever your favorite pick is, click that green button and take advantage of the free 20% win boost. You've got it once a week in the Canadian Football League. So now we move on to the soccer. And it's been a fun month. And, at the end of I kind of wish I could started a couple weeks later. I mean, we had the cup final and the draft. I'm going to miss these games for the next couple weeks. That is for sure. But I'll tell you what, it's going to end up with 2 great matchups. As Matt just mentioned, first of all, starting with the Euro, a fascinating matchup in that England didn't look particularly good earlier on. But they've done it. They found a way to win, and they've done it in absolutely dramatic fashion. And on the other side of it, I think Spain has been the best team in this tournament throughout. I will be honest, and I will defer to Iwanek in all things soccer. I'm amazed that he's got this feeling that England's going to get it done this year. England never gets it done. They have never yet to win. I'm not even sure that they played in the final of an international tournament away from home soil. But here we are, Germany on the weekend, England versus Spain. But no surprise that Spain is the big favorite in this game. And I don't know. As I say, I understand that a lot of different things can happen, but just looking at how good the Spaniards have been and the teams that they've beaten to get here, I've got a hard time going against Spain. And I think I'm picking them in 90, Jake.
Yeah, listen, I want it so bad for England because I think if England, I said this yesterday in the chat, if England can win a major tournament, then there's hope for the Leafs. England hasn't won a major tournament, Huss, since 1966, 1 year before the Leafs' last Stanley Cup. Their fans have been waiting a long time for this. They blew the last one in the Euros in penalty kicks against Italy. They need this more than anything. And like Matty said, Spain's definitely been in better form. I don't think they've lost yet in 90. I think they've won every game on their run here. England's had to fight to get there. The Bellingham bicycle that got them into extra time and the Harry Kane goal in the first 5 minutes of that game, of extra time there was incredible. Their last game, they were down 1-0 to the Netherlands, and they score a final minute goal to take the lead late and not have to face extra time. They've made it all this way. I have a hard time putting my faith in them because I've seen it from the Leafs end of things. But if they can do it, then I think anyone can do it, huh?
Well, I know that there's going to be a lot of pints served across the pond over this weekend. I can guarantee you that. That's minus $1 million. The odds right now, as it stands, Spain plus one. This is the three-way, like the 90-minute totals. Spain plus 155, the draw plus 190, and England plus 253. Now, the number that we were waiting on yesterday, from the bet was just to lift the trophy, and that is what we've put together for the Big Brain Special and our others. England right now.
So if you go to the winners tab, Huss, it wasn't in the popular for some reason, but if you go to winner tab to lift the trophies there for both Copa and Euro. You know what I mean?
Excellent. I'm just trying to pull it up right now. Here we are. Method of victory. England to win today. Here we are to lift the trophy. So Spain's minus 143, and England is plus 120. And what's wild is, I mean, Big Stones on Iwanek. He's going with both underdogs. He's got England lifting the trophy, which on its own is plus 120, and then he's in on Colombia.
I believe they're plus 140.
I was just gonna pull the Copa numbers up right now while we get it. The Copa three-way is Argentina plus 117. Draw plus 195, and Colombia plus 330. And then when we get to the winner total, as you mentioned, to lift the trophy, what did you say it was, Jake?
I believe it's plus 140 last time I checked, unless it's changed.
No, I don't
minus
think.
one.
I don't believe it would have changed. Argentina clean sheet. Man, there are so many options
so many
for
bets.
this.
It's crazy. I don't even know how soccer bettors sift through it all.
Well, and I have a hard time, I need to get a good site. If you're betting like fouls or yellow cards or those sort of things. Yeah, you don't know where you're at. So those sometimes are a little bit more difficult to do. But yes, Colombia plus 140 to lift the trophy. Argentina minus 172. I actually like the draw in this game. We've seen so many penalty shootouts. Colombia's been so impressive. I mean, I get what Iwanek is saying, that he thinks that they have what it takes to actually beat the Argentines. But I mean, holy smokes, we've seen how the Argentines can make you pay very quickly with any sort of a mistake. So I think this one's going to be really tight, and I think we're going to get penalties. So for this game, I'm going with the draw plus 195. As I mentioned, I do like Spain, which brings us to our exclusives. And these ones are both in the lock shop section. So Iwanek taking England and Colombia to both lift the trophy, boosted to plus 485. Now, I am going with the three-way picks, so the number's bigger. But we've got the Argentina-Colombia draw in 90 minutes and Spain to win in 90 minutes, plus 725. So I like that. It's kind of fun with the two games, Jake. We've got the Euro and the Copa. A little bit of we're taking the double play to the pitch, if you will, and two different options, one from Matt, one from myself. But you mentioned England. Any thoughts on this Colombia-Argentina game for all the marbles?
Yeah, I don't have a ton of thoughts. Obviously, it's hard to take down the champs, and Argentina has reigned supreme for a while here, especially off their World Cup win a couple years ago. I was actually at a concert during the Canada-Argentina game. It was unfortunate. It just didn't time out well with my schedule. But, I saw some of the clips. We had one of our tweets go pretty viral. The Kone kicking the ball into the Argentinian's back. And it's just an incredible moment. So there's a lot of discourse about that. But at the end of the day, like the Argentinians are the champs, and it's hard to knock off the champs. I don't mind your play, though, on the draw. I think that creates some great drama, and it saves you from, because kicks can. I personally think kicks can go either way. So it saves you from picking a side and just having get to kicks, and then you're just watching to see how it unfolds.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at in the lock shop section, plus 725. Spain to win in 90, and Argentina, Colombia to be deadlocked. That's boosted up to plus 725. We should actually, why don't you take us all the way through the soccer exclusives for the weekend? Because I think a lot of people looking at a few different ways to maybe throw down a little thing that aren't regular soccer bettors. Some great suggestions, and obviously it comes with a built-in nice little boost as opposed to what you'd get if you were putting this in on your own on the site.
Yeah, so this rolls right into the weekend. We'll start Saturday with the third place game for the Copa. Canada still gets a chance to play, so we still get to root on our guys one more time. We've got the Canadian Minister of Defense, Maxime Croupeau, 4+ saves, and Canada to win or tie, which means it would go to kicks in a tie, obviously. We have the Target Titans, Jonathan David, Luis Suarez, and Brian Rodriguez, all to record 1+ shots on target. We got the Maritime Messi, our boy Jacob Schaffelberg, to score or assist, and Canada to finish third. So that would be for them to, it's similar to lift the trophy for them to win the game, or winning kicks or winning regulation. And then Soccer Nation, Alphonso Davies to score or assist, and Canada to finish third. So that's our Saturday exclusives. And if you roll over to the other section there, there's a few more. It's the Sunday ones. They all start at 3 p.m. Eastern time, that is. So 1 p.m. over at Mountain time.
The Chalk It Up is a good one for folks that are just riding with the favorites.
So, yeah, this is nothing against Maddie, but I was like, if he's going to have the underdog one, I might as well put a favorites one together. So if you like Spain, you like Argentina, both of them to lift the trophy is plus 190 over in the exclusive section. We have the Sweet 16. This guy was a huge story. I don't know if you watched that.
Oh, my God, dude. I still can't get over that goal that he scored.
16 years old. Lamine Yamal to score or assist. He's got a goal and 3 assists in the tournament. And Spain to lift the trophy. That's going at plus 265. Vamos España, Alvaro Morata to score and Spain to lift the trophy at plus 365. The Instant Classic. This would be Spain, England, both teams to score. That would be in the regulation and the match to end in a draw, so go to extra time. And then it's Coming Home, which is, that's the favorite saying of England fans. And I'm sure they'll be hearing a lot of that in the next couple of days. So that's Harry Kane to score, England to lift the trophy. Hey Jude, Jude Bellingham to score or assist in England to lift the trophy. And then another Target Titans, Dani Olmo, Fabian Ruiz, and Phil Foden, all to record 1+ shots on target. That's going at plus 675 in the exclusive section.
So, gang, you are completely covered when it comes to options for the Copa final, the Euro final, and, of course, the third place game. Just, on its own, quickly, Canada plus 515, the draw plus 315, and Uruguay minus 172. I would pay attention to those lines as well. And we've already actually seen this go down. I believe Canada opened at plus 550. And I'm not sure if that is all connected to the fact of the brawl afterwards and the guys going into the stands. And I mean, I haven't heard this yet. I imagine at some point today we'll probably get some clarification on how many of their players are going to be suffering bans and not allowed to play. I think we can pretty much count Nunez out from Liverpool, who is kind of the central figure in all of it. But I think, and maybe looking ahead to that, that might be why the Canada number has gone down. Number has gone down slightly. And then, of course, you got the draw no bet, double chance, and the goals as well. I will say this: I like the under 2.5 in this game, and I think plus 110 for the under. And like Canada's finishing has been, their Achilles heel. I don't know whether I'd love for that to change.
Right.
But they have been really good defensively right now. And, I think that they obviously held Argentina to 2 goals in both of their matches. Other than that, they've been really, really stout. And, we'll see, if Uruguay's closer to the likes of Argentina or the likes of Chile and Venezuela. But I think based on everything that we've seen so far, and obviously pulling for our team and the goalie, the minus 110 for the total goals is something that I think I can get behind as well. But, you've got goal scorers, you've got all sorts of props. You can sort of dive in if you really want. Oh, and here's my favorite. Player bookings will get booked. So that's getting a card, right?
Yeah.
That's getting a card. who are some of the guys that have gotten plenty of cards for us so far? Bombito, he's always in the mix, and they'll be running at him. Plus 200 to get a card. I can see that. Alistair Johnson, I can't remember whether he got one. It's the backs. It's the guys that are,
right.
More often than not getting run at. So Bombito, Johnson, Derek Cornelius, all there. Richie Larreyes at plus 250. So some pretty good numbers on that as well. Kone plus 400. I wonder if he'll kick somebody else in the ass again after the time. I still can't get over how funny that was, and just watching it over and over again. Someone made it into a Canadian heritage moment, and that'll be one of the. Aside from the great performance of the team, the Kone yellow card will stand out amongst Canadians as one of the highlights of the tourney.
The interesting thing, Huss, and I know Maddie talked about it a bit yesterday, how, teams do kind of switch up their lineups for a third place game. I guess it's just not as big of a a game as like a final would be.
Yeah.
But, I think about like
bigger for us, I think. It's bigger for us.
I was going to say, like, I think about a World Juniors, and you always see, like, if the U.S. doesn't make it to the final and they're going to play that third place game, they tend to they play a little more lackadaisical, and they end up losing to like a Germany or a Finland or whoever it ends up being. It seems to matter more to the other teams.
Absolutely.
And I wonder if that's kind of the same. You can take that same mentality into this game, and I believe. Listen, we've talked about it this whole time while they've been in this tournament. We've had that Goalapalooza promotion going. I know with $25 is a bigger bet, but it's a pretty juicy number. If Canada does get this thing done in regulation at plus, over 5-1, like you could end up making some good money on that Goalapalooza. And if there does end up being a couple goals in the game, you get some of that money back. So another option there as well as we finish off this weekend.
Hey, listen, before we go, we'll send it back to EST and Maddie, and then I'll get ready for Winnipeg Sports Talk, where we'll be getting into more of this Bomber game and talking props and whatnot and trying to put together some sort of a WST parlay as well with our viewers. Where's your Jays meter right now, Jake? I always love on a weekly basis to find out. They actually played pretty well at Frisco, getting some hits. I mean, it's crazy that Ernie Clement has been more productive than Bo Bichette this year, but that's the world that we're living in right now. But Ernie had a monster series out in Pac Bell, and now they stay out on the West Coast and go to Arizona, who just finished an amazing series, absolutely killing me all week long. I had been going with the Braves as the final leg of a couple parlays. Yesterday, I had Skeens and the Pirates and the Braves. And I'll just quickly tell you, this is not necessarily a bad beat at all, but I was doing some stuff around my place. I fired up my Twitter. I was on my deck having a beer. I opened up the app. The very first tweet I see is Major League Baseball showing the D-backs left fielder robbing a Brave of a home run with one out in the ninth inning in a 1-0 game. I was just like, this is targeted to me. But how are we feeling about the Blue Jays? Are they going to kind of get up off the mat and get on a bit of a roll here right now, playing, a team, as I mentioned, playing some really good baseball?
I don't know. Do we want them to get off the mat is the question, right? Like, they've been pretty frustrating all year. They're 7 games under 500. Even if they went on a bit of a run here, like I got group chats with Jays fans, and we're like, if they go on a bit of a run here, you never really know. But it's like, what do we want out of all this? To be the third wild card, squeak in, having to play that the other division winner, like the third level division winner in a wild card series? I don't know. I don't think this team, personally, if they manage to get some things going, will go on a run. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here as we approach the All-Star break. If they're going to be buyers or sellers at the deadline, like, it's tough to say. Honestly, I just try to, I tune into the games when I can. I'm not like invested so much as I've been in the past few years, because when the team's not playing well, they're frustrating to watch. And a lot of times it's been, run scoring issue. It hasn't been necessarily that case as of recent, but
starting pitching's been great.
The one thing, Huss, and this is the most frustrating part about the Blue Jays, is I looked at it today. They've got 11 series wins on the season. They got a few tied series and then some series losses. They have 1 series sweep and 11 series wins. They can't just put a team down for 3 straight games. And if you can't string together wins like that, it's impossible to get back above 500, because you're giving up more games than you're winning. And it's just, I don't know. They're 4-2 in their last 6. We'll see how this Diamondback series goes, but I'm not holding out hope that they're going to go on a run here and make a wild card push. I believe, and I think this happened before we came online here, but Kevin Kiermaier went on waivers, I believe, yesterday. He's allowed to remain with the team until that process is through. I heard that on the broadcast, so I guess he'll be here. But if someone claims him off waivers, he could be out of town here before we know it, and it'll be someone else sliding into the center field position. Assuming Dalton Varsho would be the candidate there.
I am looking forward to Lock Shop early next week because we'll be able to do our annual festivities of betting on the home run derby,
one other
All-Star
thing I should say,
game.
we do have derby odds up now. So if you do have an early play on the derby, I think Alonso is the favorite. He takes it way too seriously. Plus 320, I believe, right now for Pete Alonso to win the derby.
This is the Mets World Series. Alonso in the home run derby. By the way, Jays plus 110, D-backs minus 130, and Yariel Rodriguez going for the Jays and Ryan Nelson for the Arizona Diamondbacks. All right, gang. Well, listen, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Sorry I wasn't able to pay a little bit more attention to the chat. We will do that. Get your derby predictions ready for Monday's show and the All-Star game. And by the way, just speaking of the All-Star game, I don't know whether Skeens is going to get the start for the NL in the All-Star game. He absolutely should. Not only because what he brings to the table as far as his significant other goes, but I mean, this guy, I will admit, you have to be a little pissed off at just the way baseball is today. I mean, a no-hitter through 7, and then they just yank him. And I mean, last year in the College World Series, he was going 123, 124, 120.
Right.
I get being careful with the gem of a player and a prospect like Skeens is right now, but come on, let the guy finish the no-hitter. Anyways, just wanted to get that off my chest.
Huss, is like, tell me there's not many more people in the world you'd want to switch with right now than Paul Skeens, just ripping it up in the MLB and Dayton Livy Dunce. So what a life.
I think the power poll of trading places may have a new number 1. I think it might be Paul Skeens. Lock shoppers, have a great weekend. Good luck. I'm riding for the community. Let's go Bombers and Elks. Wins on the weekend. As we mentioned, that Bomber game tonight, 6.5 is the spread right now. So check it all out. Enjoy the soccer. All the exclusives are up. Big shout out to Jake, Pat, the Coolbet team for helping us. Don't forget, if you haven't played a Coolbet before, use the promo code LOCKSHOP. 100% bonus up to $200 on your first deposit. And you can also take advantage of all those great deals in the exclusive section. Jake, have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday. Let's throw it back to the fellas at EST HQ. Have a great weekend, everybody.